This cross is not decoration. It is pressed into vegetable ash on a pale goat cheese from southern France. The cheese is called le Cathare, named after a medieval religious movement that popes and kings tried to erase. A crusade was launched inside Europe. Béziers burned. Montségur was besieged, and more than 800 years later, the memory of that conflict appears on something you can cut, taste, and share. But here is the first surprise. The cross on this cheese was never proven to be a Cathar symbol, so why is it there? Before the history, look at the cheese. Le Cathare is a small, flat, farmhouse goat cheese from the Lauragais region, between Toulouse and Carcassonne. It is usually around 15 centimeters across, weighs about 180 grams, and is made from raw goat's milk, before maturing for roughly 2 to 4 weeks. Beneath its delicate natural rind is a fine white paste. Vegetable ash covers the top, while a stencil creates the striking 12-pointed Occitan cross. Despite its historical appearance, Le Cathare has no AOP or PDO protection. It is not an ancient medieval recipe preserved through the centuries. Instead, it is a modern farmhouse cheese that proudly carries the memory of an older land. To understand that memory, we need to return to southern France around the year 1200. This was a land of the Occitan language, Mediterranean trade, influential local lords, and courts famous for troubadour poetry. The counts of Toulouse governed a politically distinct region, while the kings of France ruled far to the north. Many people later imagined medieval Languedoc as a perfectly tolerant paradise, but history was far more complex. Even so, the region was culturally different enough that religious groups condemned by Rome could often find protection among local nobles, townspeople, and rural families. Even the name Cathars remains debated today. Historians still disagree over how unified this movement truly was. Medieval sources described men and women known as good Christians, good men, and good women. According to the traditional account, their teachers believed there was a sharp division between the spiritual and material worlds. They rejected the wealth and authority of the established church, lived simple lives, and practiced a religious rite known as the consolamentum. Some women also held respected spiritual roles within the community. To their followers, these teachers appeared humble and sincere. To Rome, they represented a serious challenge to both religious unity and political authority. The persecution that followed was very real, but so was the mythology that developed afterwards. To understand Le Cathare honestly, we must keep both realities in mind. In 1208, after the murder of the papal legate Pierre de Castelnau, Pope Innocent III called for a crusade against suspected heretics and those protecting them. The army entered Languedoc in 1209. At Béziers, the Crusaders massacred the city's inhabitants after it refused to surrender people accused of heresy. Historians still debate the exact number of victims. Carcassonne fell soon afterwards, and Simon de Montfort emerged as the Crusade's leading military commander. Castles changed hands, noble families lost their lands, and Toulouse resisted for years. The main military campaign ended in 1229, bringing the county of Toulouse under much stronger royal control. But the effort to eliminate religious dissent continued through the Inquisition. By the 1230s, Montségur had become one of the movement's most important refuges. After a siege lasting around 10 months, the fortress surrendered. On the 16th of March, 1244, more than 200 people who refused to renounce their beliefs were burned below the mountain. Now we arrive at the twist promised at the beginning. The 12-pointed symbol pressed into the cheese is the Occitan cross, a historic emblem associated with the Counts of Toulouse and still widely used across Occitania. It was never a documented religious symbol of the people later called Cathars. Even Montségur tells a similar story. The fortified settlement that existed during the Cathar period was destroyed after the siege. Much of the dramatic stone fortress visitors photograph today was rebuilt later under royal authority. So Le Cathare is not wearing the Cathars cross. It wears the symbol of Occitania, the land that sheltered them, survived the Crusade, and preserved their memory. Now we leave the Middle Ages and return to the village of Saint-Philly-Lauragais, where the modern cheese was born. In 1985, Ernst and Cathy Fricker moved from Switzerland to southern France to raise goats. They began with around 50 animals and supplied milk to a local cooperative. When the cooperative stopped collecting milk in 1995, the family faced a difficult decision. Rather than giving up, they built their own dairy and learned to transform the milk into cheese themselves. Over time, they expanded their range, and Le Cathare became the signature cheese of Ferme de Cabriole. Today, the farm raises Saanen and Alpine goats alongside brown Swiss cows, producing and processing its own milk on site. That makes Le Cathare a true fermier cheese, where both the milk and the cheese come from the same farm. Ironically, one of the most recognizably Occitan cheeses was created by a Swiss family, not as medieval survival, but as modern belonging. Le Cathare begins as a slowly acidified lactic curd. It is carefully ladled into wide, shallow molds, drained and lightly salted. Because the cheese is thin, it has a large surface compared to its small interior, so moisture loss and ripening must be carefully controlled. Then comes its most distinctive feature, the vegetable ash. Modern food-grade vegetable ash has almost no flavor. It isn't added for smokiness. Instead, it helps reduce the fresh curd's surface acidity, creating better conditions for the natural rind to develop while giving the cheese its dramatic gray-black appearance. A stencil controls exactly where the ash settles. When it is lifted away, the famous Occitan cross appears. In just a few seconds, simple cheese-making chemistry becomes regional identity. A good Le Cathare should smell clean and gently goaty, with fresh grass and delicate lactic aromas. The paste is often creamy beneath the rind while remaining slightly firmer in the center. As it matures, the texture tightens, the goat character becomes stronger, and notes of toasted cereal or hazelnut may begin to appear. Serve it cool rather than straight from the refrigerator, alongside crusty bread, a little thyme honey, and a dry white wine from the Languedoc. For viewers in the United States, there is one important complication. Federal regulations generally require raw milk cheeses to mature for at least 60 days before sale. Since Le Cathare is normally enjoyed much younger, finding the authentic version can be difficult. Difficult to find does not mean illegal everywhere. It simply reflects different food regulations. So what is the verdict? Le Cathare is not an 800-year-old cheese, and its cross is not proof of a forgotten religion. The truth is even more fascinating. It is a modern farmhouse cheese that transforms the memory of Occitania into flavor and form, a Swiss family's determination, a delicate lactic goat cheese, a regional emblem, and a history that refuses to disappear, all contained within one fragile disc. A cheese can be food, it can be craftsmanship, and sometimes it can become a small, edible monument. Would you try Le Cathare? Tell us which cheese story we should cover next. Follow Cheese Heaven TV on Instagram and subscribe to Cheese Heaven TV, where cheese lovers unite.